Guten Morgen, Klasse! We're going to learn about adding and subtracting polynomials today. So here we go. Just like yesterday, please take notes. This is a brand new section, 8.5. You're going to like this one. And I've got this fancy new pen that we're going to try out, so we'll see how this works. Bear with me. I might screw up a couple times. All right, so adding and subtracting polynomials. Okay, so this is a little bit of a review. We know what like terms are, right? There we go. So for example, I'm sure the first ones that we could think of are like 6a and any number here, negative 5a. But what if instead of having both a's, we have an a and a b? Well, now they're not like terms, so now we can't add or subtract them. What if we have like negative 2 and 10? So yeah, we know that you can add two numbers together, but as soon as you put a variable on one of those, like 7 and 7x, they're not like terms. So 7 plus 7x is not 14x. You cannot do that. We do it all the time, and you can't. You just can't. And then a newish type of example is, well, what if we have 9x squared and 13x squared? These are perfectly like terms. We're just counting how many x squareds we have. So 9x squared plus 13x squared, well, that's just 9 plus 13. You get 22x squareds. But if you change your exponents, like if we have 9x squared and 13x to the power of 7, these are not like terms anymore. So you can't add x squareds and x to the 7th. They just don't go together. So those are not like terms. All right, so with this in mind, make sure you write this down. Like terms need to have the same variable and the same exponent. If they don't have the same exponent, you cannot add or subtract them. All right, so let's do example 1. Pause the video and try this out and see what you get on your own. All right, so hopefully you actually paused it and tried it. If you didn't, do that now. Please actually try it. So let's go through these together. So we have 4x plus 5. So are these like terms, 4x and 5? No, absolutely not. So for this one, we would actually just leave it the way it is. We're not going to do anything to it. You could recopy it. You could just say can't simplify, whatever. This one here, we do have a couple like terms. So I see that we have a negative 3x and a 2x. Those are like terms. So what's negative 3x plus 2x? Well, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. So that's negative 1x, or just negative x is what we should write. But then I see that we also have y and 3y here. Okay, well, that's 1y plus 3y. That gives us 4y. Since it's positive 4y, we're going to write plus 4y. All right, I can't do anything else because I'm left with two terms that are not like terms, so I just have to stop right there. All right, for this last one here, I have negative 8, 2x, negative 5x, and negative 10. Okay, so my plain numbers, my constants, are like terms. I have negative 8 and I have negative 10. Well, negative 8 minus 10 is negative 18. And then I have 2x and negative 5x. Well, 2x minus 5x is negative 3x. Okay, so there's those ones. We can't simplify this one anymore, so we just have to stop right there. All right, so let's take a look at example 2 now. So now they're throwing a bunch of exponents in here with us. So remember, you can only add or subtract them if they have the same exponent. So I see we have x squared and we have 3x squared. But this negative 5x to the power of 5 is not a like term, so that's not going to get added or subtracted. Pause the video and try this example on your own. See what you can come up with. All right, so if you did this one right, x squared and 3x squared, well, if you add those up, that gives us 4x squareds. So it's just 4x squared. Nothing goes with this one, so it's just going to stay minus 5x to the power of 5. All right, this one, I'm going to go actually in order from biggest exponent to smallest exponent. I see that we have this x cubed here, so that's what I'm going to start with. X cubed doesn't go with anything, so x cubed stays by itself. And then the rest of these all don't have any exponents on them, so the rest of these are all like terms. So I have 9x minus 4x, that's 5x, plus one more x, which brings us back up to 6x, plus 6x. Okay, that one's done. All right, and then this last one here, I have n squared. That's my biggest exponent. Nothing goes with it, so n squared. I have 4n, which also goes with this minus 4n. But if I had 4n's and then I take away 4n's, how many n's do I have left? None. Not one, but none. So we're not going to, we could write plus 0n, but that doesn't, what's the point? So we're not going to write anything. But then we also have this plus 16 here, so plus 16. All right, there we go. Those are all done. Okay, so this section was called adding and subtracting polynomials. We've kind of already been doing that, but here we have a polynomial. It has 3 terms in it, so what do we call a polynomial with 3 terms? Trinomial. And then we also have another trinomial over here, so we're adding 2 trinomials together. Well, when you do these, really all you need to do is just pretend those parentheses aren't there. We don't need those because we're adding. And now we do it just like we did before. We're going to add like terms. And I always like to go from biggest exponent to smallest because then our answer is in standard form and it makes it a little bit easier to keep track of everything. So I'm going to start with this x squared, and I see that goes with this 4x squared. I'm adding it. So x squared plus 4x squared is 5x squared. All right, those ones are done. I'm going to cross them out so I don't get confused. Okay, next biggest exponent. Well, I have these things with just x's. So I have 3x minus 2x, that's 1x. Don't write 1x, just write x. Okay, those ones are done. I'm going to cross them out. And then lastly, I have my constant. So I have plus 4, and I have minus 1. 4 minus 1 is 3, positive 3, so it's plus 3. All right, there's our answer. Remember, we can't do anything else because I have no more like terms left. Pause the video here and try example 3 on your own, please. All right, so our first one, notice I kind of color-coded it, should be 6x squared minus 2x plus 14. My guess is that the places we're going to mess up are with these negatives here. 2x minus 4x is negative 2x, so make sure that's a minus sign. But if you got it right, then awesome. And for the second one, same idea. I went biggest exponent to smallest, so my biggest was the power of 4, so 7 plus 1 was 8. With my to the power of 2's, I had 1x minus 3x is negative 2x squared. And then lastly, I had 2 and minus 2, which is just 0. So you could write plus 0 here, but it doesn't do anything. So remember, our exponents are staying the same. We're not adding the exponents. Those are just telling you where your like terms are. Okay, so we talked about adding polynomials. What else are we going to do? What was the name of the section? We're going to subtract polynomials. It's actually not any more difficult. There's just one big thing that you need to worry about. So I've got this minus sign here, and I am subtracting this whole second polynomial. So we've seen expressions like this before. Really, there's a 1 out front here. That was a terrible 1. But what we need to do is we need to treat this like a negative 1 getting distributed to each of these terms inside the second polynomial. So this first polynomial is going to stay exactly the same. But this second one, each of these terms inside here are going to get multiplied by negative 1. So 4x squared times negative 1 is now negative 4x squared. This was positive 2x. If we multiply that by negative 1, we get negative 2x. And this last term was negative 1. Well, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. All right, so now this looks just like it did before. We just need to find and combine our like terms. So let me switch to a different color here. Let's do blue. So I have x squared and minus 4x squared. That's going to be minus 3x squared. All right, now I see, I'm going to cross those guys out. Now I see that I have 3x and minus 2x. 3x minus 2x is 1x, so just plus x. And then lastly, I have plus 4 and I have plus 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, so plus 5. So here is the end answer. For example 4, pause the video and try it on your own, please. All right, so after you distributed, this is what you should end up with. Remember, your first polynomial stays exactly the same. Your second polynomial, after you distribute the negative 1, all of your terms change sign. So now you just need to combine like terms. 8x squared minus 4x squared is 4x squared. I see that we also have x and minus x. Those cancel out. And then lastly, we have 2 and minus 6. 2 minus 6 is minus 4, negative 4. All right, last example. Pause the video, try it on your own. All right, guys, this is what it looks like after you've distributed that negative to your second polynomial. So notice this last one is now a negative, but these other two terms are now positive. Be especially careful with this first term. I think that's where we're going to mess up a lot. Okay, so now I need to go ahead and combine my like terms. Start with your biggest exponent. The biggest exponent I see is this 5. and I see two terms that have an exponent of a 5. I see negative 9x to the 5th and positive 5x to the 5th. What's negative 9 plus 5? Negative 4. So that's negative 4x to the power of 5. Those ones are done. What's the next biggest exponent? 7x cubed. Okay, so I have 7x cubed and 7x cubed. Do those cancel out? No, because they're both positive this time. If it was 7 minus 7, they would cancel. But this is 7 plus 7, so that's going to be positive 14x cubed. That one's done. And then lastly, I have this 4x minus 2x. That's positive 2x, so plus 2x. Okay, that's it. Remember, you can replay any of these examples or any of the notes. Please do that before you decide that you are confused and can't do it. You do have an assignment on Google Classroom. Go see what it is. And please, 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 if you need help, use Google Hangouts to reach me. Don't comment on the assignment. It'll be much faster if you try opening up a chat or a voice call or something like that with me. We can get you help a lot faster that way. All right, bye guys.